Uh, it took 3 Megami Tensei games. Well, almost Megami Tensei games to finish at least one of them, and of course it is Shin Megami Tensei. And so the video is about it. Even with some problems that stayed from the previous games, but at least for some stuff, previous games knowledge either obtained from the game or outside of the game helped me in this game, and maybe this game introduced its own problems. And there are quality of life features, or only one, which of course improves the quality of the game. And the guide helped me only once. It was because I just forgot where I didn't go. However, I finished only one ending of this game. Doesn't seem that this game is a new game plus feature, like the game didn't go past the end screen. So if I didn't know that was a game that introduced a new game plus feature, but that was because I was making let's plays at the time. So of course, well, one of the reasons. So of course I didn't do it for this game. One of the problems was it took me too long to start encountering them, but it is because I didn't go on one specific tile, which will trigger them on encounters. And of course I played using F1 translations. I on Genesis patch because that isn't official English, except for one platform, but which is now lost, which for some reason introduced at least some, if not all glitches, the patch that is. Like some parts of text window staying on screen, Mona Alice visually resetting to 99,999, and with that in some instances you have more money than that when money shows that number, but in other instances you might not be able to buy expensive stuff. Well, I know the glitched spike was from the patch, but I got past it, but only after a long grinding session, and it turns out that I already added magic that is almost an arena of effect attack. Almost, because it's random if it targets to all enemies or not. But more about it later. Of course, with spoilers about it, but I'll have warning about it. I was grinding before this glitched find helped me progress the game at decent speed afterwards. Only I'm a little bit confused about how the patch makes the game to be glitchy. Like by replacing text to be in English will make the game glitchy. Or is the patch changed more to be in English than the text that the player sees? Anyway, the intro is becoming a little bit too long, so I should move to the next chapter. But before that, I will be prolonging the intro a little bit more to say about the developers and publishers of the game and on what platform it was released. Shin Megami Tensei was developed and published by Palace. They started to self-publish their games with the third game in the Megami Tensei series. And Shin Megami Tensei was released for Super Famicom, PC Engine CD-ROM, Mega CD, PlayStation, Game Boy Advance, iOS or iOS? Okay, I don't know how to pronounce it. And Android. Only the iOS version was released in English officially, which is now lost media. And I don't have an iOS device if the game will be in the series. And if it will be possible to get the game from the saves to iOS device. The premise is the player's character is dreaming about going through a maze without players' input, saving and meeting with different characters, and naming most of them including the player character. But not all of the characters in a single dream. After waking up, because mom woke up the player character, he receives the demon summoning program. Then after talking to his mom, he receives an allowance and his mom asks him to get a coffee. While in the background, police are investigating a case which made some roads to be blocked. After doing Ellie's making death, getting coffee, by stepping on a specific dial and going to sleep, the player character is another dream, where he and his party members saves a female character. And afterwards more demons appears and the player characters need to figure out what is going on, and over the playtime the tasks of course is changed, not only because of the reset point, but also because of alignment of what the player character is can change. More about it in the gameplay section, and that is the reason why there are multiple endings in this game. The story is fine. Well, maybe it was one of the reasons why I was able to finish the game at least to one of its endings. There are some interesting plot points, some of which make you sad, which of course is based on your choice, or at least might be. Especially what might happen to your party members, not counting demons, of course, based on your choice. However, more or less, I accidentally skipped the dialogue, which also includes when trying to recruit demons. So I missed some details of the story, even when I had base replay buffer enabled. At least for the time when the game was released, the story works for the game, I think. Of course, it bolts onto and changes some stuff from previous games. Like there is outside is a fault map, but party represented is appointed, and interior, which is first person exploration. And when starting the game gives you those stat points and prompts you to increase stats that you want for most of the characters. But this time it gives more stats points at the start of the game. It's because the max amount of stats points for each stat is higher than it was in previous games. One of the or only one quality of life feature is auto mapper, which automatically draws tiles on which you have stepped for interior maps, and because it was useful for most of the game, then I missed that there still was a mini-map spell, and I tried mini-map spell or magic map called mapper, and I thought it was scam. Still, it was getting annoying to wait for its slow opening and closing, and near the end of the game, I found about the mapper, so it turns out both are awesome. Of course, the turn-based combat is the same, choosing what actions to do for all party members, and then actions are done for all of the fighters, which of course is done for random encounters or fixed encounters that are either just fixed encounters or boss battles. And there still is auto mode, which either does default attack, setup action, or relates this selected action, which isn't magic or item usage, hopefully. But now some demons have extra abilities, just extra actions that don't cast MP, However, these weren't useful for most of the game because Aeon set auto attack for random encounters, or automate, or whatever it is. And if the demon has multiple extra abilities, then it's random what gets lost, I think. Maybe I didn't see its usefulness because of Granny before the glitched fight, and when it seems it will be useful, then either it doesn't obvious the enemy or also the wrong one against the enemy. At first I thought these don't appear on demons test screen, but turns out they are at the same place as magic for demons. Speaking of actions what party members can do, of course there still isn't a description of what they can do, which of course also includes what items do. Prior games knowledge opened me, some of which I got from outside of the game, but for new stuff it still was a little bit annoying to try and see what each stuff does. So, no players who choose to start Megami Tensei games with this game might get annoyed about trying out what each stuff does, and then some of them will drop the game, if not all of the series. Some of them spoil the game by spoils the game for themselves by searching only for descriptions, and others make broad towards it, and maybe rest of the players make trial and error each stuff. Now about the main gimmick of this franchise, demon recruiting, which is of course still done by talking to demons, but it's again was changed how you talk with demons. To start talking with demons, you need to either choose to be friendly or treating, and after choosing right answers, the demon asks what you want, but the demon can refuse and just want to battle. If wrong answers, the demon wants to battle. Either it attacks first or allows you to select exchange. With some dialogue options, the demon can join your party automatically. And of course you can only have one demon of each species, but then the game shows different demons summoners who can have multiple of the same species. Like why inconsistency like that? I didn't notice any explanations of it. Or I just missed it. But because of it, if you try talking to a demon which is the same species as this demon in your party, then they might give you a gift, which they hit in the franchise, at least for now, except on full moon. No matter what you do, you can talk to demons on full moon, and of course there is basically the second currency called Magnet, which I only shared a short version in previous Megami Tensei videos, which is still onset for keeping demons on the vault and for decorating them, which isn't the only thing that they ask for. However, because you can ask for it, so it becomes useless for keeping demons on the vault. And maybe after some point, it was patched while making it glitching out. Of course, it still keeps mean faces, and no mod still affects minimap spell, but because of automapper it is less impactful. Now back to random encounters. Of course they can get annoying, not just because it can happen under one step, but each encounter can have multiple phases of enemies. Like if you beat or talk it with a demon, then the next demon can appear in the same palace skin, and then the next, and maybe the next. Maybe it's only up to 3 phases in an encounter, but it feels like it's more than 10. And if you take only one step to get into the next encounter, then it's basically up to 6 phases, or maybe up to infinite phases if you are really unlucky. Which stays the same from the previous games, but hopefully this time I had better explanations about it. And I doubt the common games takes the cake about random encounter annoyance, but turns out this franchise takes the cake. Takes the annoyance cake. Random encounters annoyance cake. Now the second part of the demo, which is more or less stays the same, is fusions, because only Aeon characters can level switch, restores HP and MP for them. Fusion is meant to get stronger demons. Of course, with that you can force the demons to figure forms, but there still is preview of demon stats. And of course you can fusion demons to a higher level than what you are. Of course there is weak fusions, and there are some combinations that randomize what demons was together. Which I noticed because of symbols in the fusion window, but I still don't know what the rest of the symbols mean. Also, already from the start of the game, you can force 3 demons together. However, because of the alignment system, there is a warning that you won't be able to summon the demon if you are opposite alignment. Thankfully, I already summoned demons stay on the field when alignment changes. Now, finally, I'm talking about the alignment system, which impacts what ending you get. And it isn't just looking for demons you can summon and recruit, but also what weapons you can use, or equipment actually. And also limits what charge you can visit. However, you can't see what your current alignment is. It doesn't appear on the screen. Or I just didn't notice it. And that was one instance where alignment was changed illogically. Maybe that was a glitch from the patch. However, with some stuff which makes the game easier, if you lose, it is game over for you. There's no reviving your party for a quest. So you need to save the game constantly, which is only at seconds. Turns out it wasn't only Digimon games that dropped reviving either by ghost or without a cost. If the player gets defeated, like in Digimon case, if all of Digimon gets defeated for the player, and in Megami Tensei, if all Aeon characters get defeated. Okay, I forgot out. I said it, so I guess I will be leaving like that. Of course, not only grinding before the glitch that might make the game easier, but also having multiple Aeon characters, which doesn't stay in the party all of the time, makes the game easier in some areas. And stunning boss enemies makes the game easier, but in some instances, it also makes the battle longer. Mostly making them sleep or shocking them make the enemies skip the turn. There are different status effects, but they all do the same thing, basically stunting the enemies. Well, the game is enjoyable, but I'm kinda disappointed that after a point you don't need to for a button mag, because you can ask for it, and maybe afterwards the patch glitched the game more mag than I should have gotten. Or is it enjoyable because the difficulty was lowered, not just by the patch, but also by the game itself? Now I will be spoiling the glitched fight, for which I unnecessarily grinded, so for whoever wants to avoid this fight, it's spoilers, you should skip those Miscellaneous chapter. You shouldn't be even on the chapter, but I'm adding spoiler warning it, so you would skip this chapter if you were just listening to the video. Are they gone? Oh boy. It happens when trying to save the female character from executions, and it's available, with there were multiple enemies of the same species. At first until I get to the second wave, and notices the enemy can't get reset, but I also noticed enemies were calling for allies, and I assumed it was because of it. However, because it took a long time to beat it, I gave up on the fight and started grinding. It seemed like I was underleveled and enemies were able to call for allies unlimited times. While grinding, I attempted to fight again and again, and in one attempt I noticed that the dialogue box got reset, which was before the fight, and with it the fight also got reset. Then I continued the grinding. Then I searched online and I found out the fight was glitched because of the patch. After some attempts to pass the glitchy phase, if not all phases were glitchy, I found that the adventure spot which I focused on increasing magic stat at almost a attack. And with it I finished the battle. And I was afraid the enemy reset would be the same fate where those species of enemies appeared at the same time. Either those weren't glitched out or my hierarchy was enough to pass this phase. I continued the game with the same patch, because I also found out from outside the game after this battle, after the powers were glitched out. I guess I'll just get to the point. What was changed more than the text that players can see to be in English to use the dialog box reset and with it the first opal, and then at least the second wave resetting by itself. Like assumptions changing visible text by the player to be in English would glitch effect like this. So from this poll it seems more than the visible text by the player was changed to make glitch like that. So for better experience you will need to get a different patch than on Genesis patch. Going through menus is slow, especially when Ellie is checking the what from demons will force together, and it's more slower because it goes to the first screen of the fortune window. So it might be the same or similar for other menus. This game confirms that if you are a higher level, then you get less experience from beating enemies. It's because adventurers go in and out of but then there are differences in levels, and when beating demons forever is at a higher level, gets less experience. Now for guns, you also need ammo. Of course there is still little decent, and sprites are more loud, showing nipples, but that is only one sprite, like 1 pixel. Which is good thing that is in game, but I'm afraid our future games will deal with it, but I'll see when I play those games. Finally, there is an option for increasing how many demons you can at the same time. After saving the game, saying that you stop playing the game, there is warning not to get possessed by demons. On tales where each other was or fair, afterward dialog box saying nobody here appears. What's the reason not to skip it? Of course there still are there times, but this time the Muppet spell isn't affected by it, and also there is of course a Muppet for it. Encounters still show up slowly, which in some cases tricks me into thinking that there isn't an encounter. There is an encounter limit. I guess I didn't reach the point in previous games. The emulator made a method up with controls here and there, like adding extra input. Some tips appeared later than when I needed to use the item or thing. Here and there are no directions, so I tried exploring like I did for most of the games. Then I found out some dungeons where there are traps, which includes teleporting you, and maybe beats, and some form of codes and or applied status effects to you. And in one instance, player character level was lowered. Not sure if it was a trap or an enemy attack. About multiple endings, I found out that this game is multiple endings from outside the game, in which I didn't notice any split spots, but any choice in game. But then, when it seemed that it was a choice, the game didn't allow me to continue the game. So basically, I did what I was allowed to at the start of the game, until there was a visible choice. Overall, it is an enjoyable experience. There are ups and downs, but it is fun. Even with the glitches from the patch, but you should on the Aeon Genesis patch for better experience. Well, I'm kinda disappointed that I had easier time with this game. Of course, some of it was because of the glitched patch, but also I was able to stand boss enemies. At first I thought the game would be easier because of defense and attack increase in magic, but I didn't get those for a long time after I fought the demons together, which had those magic spells or whatever they count. Because I wanted to higher level demons. So the next easier method was stunning enemies. So I wondered, now I'm starting to finish Megami Tensei games, but I'll say about that when I play the short games. By the way, before playing this game, I replayed Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei, but on a different platform, emulating it on the phone. Slowly playing it when I don't have mobile data, and reached further than the second dungeon, I think. And thankfully, while playing this game, Shin Megami Tensei, I had break from Digital Devil Story. And between the second game and this game, I finished reading the first volume of the novel. And well, that's dark. So anyways, I'll short wrap up about this game. Yeah, I can recommend this game, but of course not the Aeon Genesis patch. Only if it's possible to get it for you. If it's possible to get the game for you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like the video, subscribe and comment. See you next time.